So anyway, I introduce to you Odette Y. Crawford, our moderator. She's going to tell you. Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay? I am so happy and thrilled to see all these beautiful people here. Just all the love and support. And this is a safe environment for you to get an opportunity to absorb the importance of the messages that you're going to hear today. And those messages that you hear today, what's so important about it is that you will get something out of that that you can hand off to your children and your grandchildren. And it will go on and on and on. So this is incredibly important. We have some extremely impressive speakers, and you're gonna love this. So you know what, sit back, relax, enjoy, and you know we're gonna have some raffles, but I need to tell you, if you're not here, you won't win. Okay, just keep that in mind. So please welcome our special guest.
Good morning, my name is Jessica Soares, and today I come before you as the product of teenage parents. I am a supervisor with the Department of Social Services here in Sacramento. I've been in my department for 19 years. I look very young. I am a graduate from Fresno State University, and I've been here in Sacramento for about the last 12 years. I greatly appreciate this opportunity to be here because rarely do I get the opportunity to talk about my mom. So when I was told to come and just talk about my experience as growing up with teenage parents, it actually was a bonding opportunity for us because I kind of got to interview her, which I haven't done. So it was just an opportunity to bring us together and an opportunity to find out some more of what she went through as being a very young parent. My mother became pregnant with me when she was 15, and she had me right after her 16th birthday. Some of the challenges that she went through were that she had to apologize to her church, and we are very much into our churches. She did have to apologize to her church family about her situation, which was rough for her. She had to fight to continue her education because they wanted to put her in night school. This was the 70s. So the school, and I was raised, born in Mobile, Alabama. So her and my grandma did have to fight to keep her in school because they did want her to go to school at night. And she didn't. She still had a couple of years left, but she really fought to be able to stay in school and matriculate with her peers. And I stayed home with my grandmother, which was great bonding for us. Some of the other things that I went through were that having a mother so young, she instilled a lot of things in me because I had the opportunity to watch her grow up as well. So seeing some of the things that she went through in terms of raising her family, and then wanting to make sure that I was independent as I got older, that I was self-sufficient. The other thing is my mom was not my friend. My mom was my mom. And so there was that separation. I know a lot of people now were saying, oh, that must be kind of cool to have a mom that's only barely 16 years older than you. Sometimes we're really close in the same decade. I'm in my 40s, my mom is still in her 50s. There was always that separation that even though she was very young, my mom was my mom was not my friend. And I was raised in a household that was very disciplined. It was yes ma'am, no ma'am. My father was still there. They had 2 more children, so by the time my mom was 20, she had had all 3 of her children, and I was the oldest of the 3. Back then, in terms of support, being teenagers in the 70s, my father took the route that he thought would be the best for him to support his family, so guess what he did? He joined the military. He did. He joined the armed services. He joined the Army. So we did travel around, but he at that point felt like that was the best thing and probably one of the only things that he could do to support this young family and to get out of Mobile, even though Mobile is a beautiful place right now. But at the time, we had very limited circumstances, and so he and my mom wanted to get out and raise their family. And so that is how we came to California. It was very rough because they were so young and they were the first ones to move away. And so even now, we're still the only extension of our family that is not in Alabama. We're the only ones all the way out here in California. But even with all of that, seeing what they did for us in terms of my dad making the sacrifice and wanting to join the Army, seeing my mom raising her family, seeing my mom get her driver's license, because she didn't get it until maybe a little bit before I got mine. Seeing all of those things, it really made me very proud of my parents, and it made me want to excel. So it did push me to do better in school. I did not want to embarrass my parents. So that really helped push me to where I am today. I did want to make them proud, so anything that I could volunteer for in school, get good grades. One thing they told us was, as soon as you graduate from college, I hope you have a job or a school to go to, because you gotta go. So that was our thing, be prepared. We were always told by the 18, this was nice, our job is done, you need to leave. So all three of us did that. We made preparations for it. And even though it might sound harsh, of you gotta go, you gotta get out, she didn't want us to go too far. And I think that's another thing with the young parent, especially with me being her first. She wanted me to still stay kind of local. I wanted to go away to school, to go to Spelman, but my mom did not want me to be that far away from her, so Fresno from Salinas was 2.5 hours. That was far enough for her. I was out, but I wasn't too far. Anything happened, she could hop in a car and still be there within a couple of hours. So there was that part. That was my only regret as the first, is I would have liked to gone away, but it did give me the opportunity to be there for my brother and sister, because there were some points that my parents were so young that it almost became as if I were the mom and the role model for my brother and sister, and so they wanted to follow my footsteps, literally, because they came to Fresno too. And we all ended up staying together. And the other benefit of that is that we are still extremely close. We went to college together. We're all only 2 years apart. So regardless of what people may tell you, it was rough for my parents growing up as teenage parents, but it was not impossible. It wasn't impossible. They're still educated today. I saw my mom go to college. I was there to witness her cooking, cleaning for us, and doing her homework and getting good grades. You know, if she could do that with raising a family, and I'm by myself, there should be no excuse for me. So seeing those things really helped propel me to want to be better for them, to be better for my siblings. And I just have such a great appreciation for her. Our church was very beneficial. With much prayer comes much reward, which it did for them. And yeah, so it doesn't have to be something that needs to be deferred. Your dreams don't have to. Regardless of your circumstance, if someone just heard the fact that my parents were 16 and 18 when they had all of us, without seeing us, they may have formed another opinion of what they may have thought that our life would be like. But right now, all of us, myself, my brother, my sister, all of us are college graduates. My mother is a college graduate. We have our oldest nephew who is in college right now. My niece is about to graduate from high school, and everyone has a plan. Everyone has a plan. Our village is coming together, and it's just an awesome thing to see the legacy of my parents coming through their grandchildren, and they probably did not think that that would be possible back in Mobile in 1976.
So good morning. My name is Nafisa Young, and I was asked to speak about the challenges of accomplishing your educational goals while being a young mother. So I'm going to start back to 1999. My family, we all went to Florida. I was really excited because the next stop after Orlando, Florida was Jackson, Mississippi. I am from San Jose, California, and I decided I wanted to go to school in Jackson, Mississippi. While I was there, I had the best time. I enjoyed my friends, enjoying myself, probably having a lot more fun than I should have. I ended up finding out that I was pregnant with my son, who's actually in the audience right now. So I was only able to do one semester there, and then I came back home to San Jose with my parents. I think I was home for about a month and a half, and at the time I found out I was pregnant, I was 19. I had my son when I was 20. And in fact, usually, you're pregnant for 9 months. I actually gave birth to my son the day I turned 30 weeks. So I had a preemie at 20 years old. He was 3 pounds, 6 ounces. He was the tiniest thing in the hospital, but also the healthiest, and in my opinion, and I think everyone who went in there, the cutest. We were very worried at first because the doctors told us that they were probably going to have to do a line with him and send him to Stanford University, and I was seeing all these other sick babies, and as a new young mom, this was just all so new to me. I was very blessed, had a lot of prayer warriors, and my village is very strong. My son, instead of having to be in the hospital for 2.5 months, he was in the hospital for about 28 days, so it was pretty amazing. After my son turned 1, I decided I wanted to go back to school again, and not in San Jose. I moved to Georgia, and we ended up moving into a place in a town called Little Whiskey, Georgia, a place that had 1 stoplight, 1 grocery store. You had to travel 20 miles to go to a McDonald's, and my school was about 75 miles away. I chose Little Whiskey because I had what I felt was the best townhouse. It was brand new, 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, $200 a month, and even though it was 75 miles away from Savannah State, where I ended up attending and getting my undergraduate degree, for me it was just perfect. So I started going to school at Savannah State. I went to classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays from about 8 in the morning to about 6 p.m. I had a great babysitter in Hinesville, Georgia, who wanted to be James's surrogate big mama, because all my family was in San Jose, and I had some family in Atlanta also. There was a time when school became challenging, just juggling the back and forth. I ended up having to take a little bit of time off, but one thing I like to tell younger people who have children, it's not about you taking the time off, it's that you went back and you finished. So I went back and I finished, and I was able to get my undergrad degree in sociology. And then my parents said, hey, we have this house in Sacramento, you need to come back. Now mind you, my parents have been trying to get me to come back to California since like day 1. My dad would call me and say stuff, my mom would call me and say stuff. I don't even know if they knew that each other were calling me trying to convince me to come back. And also every summer, my mom was a school teacher, so when school would let out, she would come to Georgia and pick up my son for the summer. So I was actually able to have some fun time, and then I would come back in August when school started again and bring him back. So when we got back to, when we came to California, my parents actually have a house that's not far from here, off of Tam O'Shanter, and then I started working at a nonprofit organization, River Oaks Center for Children. I started off as a skills trainer. I moved up to a wraparound facilitator. Then I was a TBS facilitator. And then I decided I wanted to do something different. I decided to go to school again, and I got my master's degree in school psychology. And one thing, my grandmother, both of my grandparents actually, my dad is one of 9 and a twin, and my mom is the youngest of 10. And I'm actually the first of my maternal grandmother's grandchildren to get her master's degree, and my brother was shortly soon to follow, who's also here. So one of the things that I think is really important for younger mothers is you have to have a strong village, and sometimes your village is biological, and sometimes your village are the people that you meet when you're coming along. I've been very blessed. I have a very strong, big family. I hang out with my 5th and 6th cousins, so we're really strong that way, but we also have our adopted family that's also been very helpful. One thing that my parents also always taught us is OQP, which means only quality people. So you have to be around, good quality people if you want to have a good quality life. All of my friends, they all were on the same track that I was on. They wanted to do the same things that I had in my mind that I wanted to do and accomplish for myself. And so I made sure that I stayed around those people, and that keeps you out of trouble and it keeps you focused. Because really a lot of times you are associated with the company that you keep. Amen. One thing is you always have to follow your own timeline. You can't compare yourself to somebody else. Your struggle is going to be different than other people's. As long as you keep your eye on the prize, set a goal, follow that goal, and make sure it happens, doesn't matter if it takes you 5 years or 10 years, as long as you do it, it's done. The great thing about Facebook is you get to see the people that you grew up with and the things that they're accomplishing. And I have friends who are 39 and 40 years old getting their bachelor's degree, and the fact that they persevered and were able to do it, that's what's important. One thing I want to say also, of course, the importance of education. Reaching back, I think that a lot of times that even when you're a young mom and you have a lot of things that are going on in your own life, it's important to also reach back to other children and also to share your story, because a lot of times people might feel that they're stuck in one situation and they don't have to be. In 2015, I was able to purchase my first house in Lamp Park, and I never thought when I was 19, with the help of my wonderful parents, of course, but I never thought, when I was 19 that I was going to be able to get this beautiful house in this great neighborhood. It just wasn't something that I expected for myself. So another thing is like dream big.
I'm thankful to be here, and when I was asked here by Odette and Tommy, they asked me a couple of months ago about coming to speak. I said, with you, oh yeah, about dreaming, oh yeah, I'll be there. Because you know what, that's what it's about, dreaming. And actually I got all this stuff around my neck. It tells a story. It's a meaning to this, okay? And I wanted to show you this, okay, right here. I got this on, and I don't even have my medal. These are my medals from 96 and 2000 Olympics. I actually brought my medals in 96 and 2000. But these medals are great, okay, yes, and I'll share the story, the message behind it. But really, the things I have on right here tell even more of a story. It really, and actually one of them is, this is beads. I really love this, buttons. And Ms. Withrow tell me, when I met her, I said, this is so cute. She actually gave it to me from around her neck. Where are you? Did she leave out? So I want to say thank you so very much. She gave this to me, and I was like, this is so, and every day somebody said, where you get this from? I said, well, a great friend gave it to me. It's cute, it's buttons. She made it with her hand. So I have this along with, these are from a reservation. I travel a lot, and I speak to a lot of reservations overseas. I speak reservations in South Dakota, North Dakota, Seattle. And it's about giving back. And I'm telling you, when I went there, it was such an amazing experience. I was there just going to a basketball tournament and just being accessible, taking pictures. This lady walked up to me, and she looked at me, and she was like, you came here to see us. And this lady probably was in her 90s. She was so small, so little. And she said, people like you don't come see us. You took our time to come and see us. And she just gave me this biggest hug, and she said, oh, you're so beautiful. It was so humbling. It was like an epic experience. These people that don't have access to, I would say, celebrity athletes, which I don't really care too much for that term, but I was there just by me being there. My presence liberated other people, edified other people. So I take my calling, I take my responsibility seriously. And I know someone asked me, they said, thank you so much for coming out, encouraging, coming out, doing different things. I said, you know what, these gold medals, my Hall of Fame trophies, none of that mean anything if I can't impact someone's life. If I can't make some girl dream come true, it means nothing. For these to sit up on the shelf and maybe brag about how good I was, that's not doing anything if I can't impact lives. So that's what it's all about, because to the world, you might be one person, but to one person you could be the world. And if all that you can remember me as a basketball player, a week from now, a year from now, then I've done a bad job with my life. Because my message goes beyond basketball. My life. And I just want to share a little bit about my manifesto and about sort of my journey so I can paint a picture about who I am and what's my why. And I grew up in a very small family of 12 girls and 8 boys. Yeah. And I'm from Mississippi too. Yes, Mississippi. And yes, 12 girls and 8 boys, and we lived on about 10 acres. And I believe for every acre my parents bought, they decided they needed 2 kids. So they had it calculated out perfectly. And so I grew up, I'm the 16th of 20, so I'm glad my parents didn't stop at 15. And I have a twin brother. I'm a PK, you know what PK is? Oh yeah, PK kid for sure. You know, we know what all comes with that. But I grew up and we went to church Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It was always some prayer meeting, you know, testifying service. It was always something. So I'm thinking like, and I pretended sometimes I would try to be sick so I wouldn't have to go all the time. My dad said, you're not sick. He said, if you're feeling sick now, when you get there, you'll feel better. So, but I think about, and then sometimes we would get home and have family devotion. And so it's like, I thought about it, I said, you know what, does it take all this? And you know what? Yes, it took every bit of that. And I'm thankful to my mom and my dad for being obedient. And my dad would say often, he said, daughter, if you take in life with you just a few principles, you won't have to carry a suitcase full of rules. If you take in life with you just a few principles, you won't have to carry a suitcase full of rules. What are those principles? What are those things that can make your dreams come true? What are those things that can make you feel like, you know what, I'm somebody? And make you feel like, you know what, my dreams can come true. Faith, attitude, and hard work. And when I say attitude, I'm talking about your mindset. That is my mindset. And when I wasn't recruited by the colleges and I had to get on that bus, my only chance to play basketball, I was discouraged. I was like, man, I was a good girl. I was always listening to my parents. Why are these struggles? Why am I going through this? Why doesn't someone these colleges just pursue me and like, oh my God, we want you, like they wanted my sister. They flew her on a private jet and they put me on the bus for 10 hours. I thought my Jerry curl was really bad then. I'm like, that just messed up. So I'm thinking like, I remember my father saying, daughter, just as clear as day. And he would call me, he would say daughter because he couldn't remember my name because there was so many of us. He said, daughter, life is 10% of what happens to you, but 9% how you respond to it. He said, you cannot put your happiness and your joy in people's hands. He said, you got to have that power within. You got to trust God. The same God. He said, if you go to Auburn, if you don't make one basket, the same God I serve, the same God I got faith in. He said, but for you to walk away from this, he said, this could be the most important ride you ever take. And I'm thinking my dad is just trying to encourage me. Of course, that's what dads do. They encourage their daughter, say, I believe in you. My dad saw things I couldn't see. He heard things I couldn't hear. So we need people in our corner that believes in us. Someone that believes in you. They're not going to make decisions for you, but they believe in you. I get on that bus and go to Auburn. They say I want to play in my senior year. I ask kids when I talk to youth, I said, when do you think I started playing? When do you think I made an impact on that team? I started my freshman year at Auburn University. We won 3 conference championships, we went to 2 Final Fours, and now when you go back to Auburn in Alabama, you go in this big $60 million facility, you see my name at the top, my jersey, engraved, it'll never go away. There is a testament that's bigger than me, because I'm thinking like, I look back and I'm like, wow. Once again, I said, God, thank you. But I said, thank you, Dad, for believing in me. Dad, thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for giving me a space to rise above and for really elevating me. And we need people like that in our lives. And if it's our parents, great. If it's a coach, great. If it's a best friend, but someone to hold us accountable, but someone to also tell us that, you know what, you can do this. I believe in you. But that's going to be work. That's going to be work behind it. And I wanted to play more basketball at the college. We won 3 conference championships and we lost in the Final Four. So I wanted to play more. I'm like, I want more. You know, I'm hungry. I want more. And I wanted to play for the national team. I didn't get invited. They were like, are you kidding me? You made it to the final game, the championship game in college, and you didn't get invited? So in life, listen at this. If that door closed, guess what? Find a window to get through. If that door closed, get through a window. My window was paying my own way to go. And people said, why are you paying your own way to go? You just made it to the championship game in the Final Four. But you know what? My dad whispered in my ear. He said, daughter, like you got on that bus, he said, I believe in you. You'll live a life of regrets if you don't go. You will ever wonder what if. When you keep walking away from your dreams, you keep walking away from stuff, then you live a life of resentment. I shoulda, coulda. What if I take that shot and miss? But what if you make it? What if I go to Auburn and I don't play? But what if I do play? What if I go to the trials and don't make the team, but what if I do? And sure enough, 175 girls, they only gonna pick 24, okay? They only gonna pick 24 girls. They invited 50, okay, I'm painting this picture. They invited 50 VIPs, they only gonna pick 24. There's another 125 that can't pay their own way, hoping they get looked at, they get seen. I was part of that other group that wasn't the VIP, that wasn't special, pretty much. So after they got done, they gave this big speech. Thank you all for coming. You know, we only got 24 spots, but just, you know, if you didn't make the team, come back next year. Don't give up. Don't quit, blah, blah, blah. So if you made the team, your name would be highlighted outside on the door. So sure enough, I stood up. I wish I had a piece of paper. I stood up, I got this piece of paper, and I was like, no way. My name, Alice Ruth Bolton. I'm like, are you serious? Like, I'm actually on the team? I'm thinking like, I said, Lord, thank you. Then I said, Dad, thank you. What if I had stayed home? I made a team. I literally got there, and players that they sought after for 5 months paid their own way to go. I took somebody's spot. Why did that happen? Because dreams do come true when you got your faith, the attitude, and hard work. See, you can have faith, but God is not going to come down here and make shots for you. He's not going to do push-ups for you. He's not going to come and do suicide for you. He's not going to, you know. So it's like doing the things that we so do. He didn't get on that bus for me. I had to go do that myself, but he'll make room for us. He will give us the pathway if we have faith. And not only was I happy I made the team, they had to reimburse me my money back. So did. I was like, here you go, boo-boo. I want my money. But anyway, I was once again thankful, like, Dad, thank you for seeing things in me. So I think now as we're all older and as we pursue life, we got to let people, what you know, you got to share your wisdom that you know. Like these amazing young ladies, you got to share to the next generation. I work with girls 12 and 13 years old, and every day I go in there, I tell them, I said, listen, I know I don't want to sound like a broken record. I said, I don't want to sound like a teacher, a parent. I just want to sound like someone that cares. I want you to know you matter. I want you to know you got to see yourself being that doctor. See yourself being that lawyer. It doesn't matter what is happening in your family. I believe in you. I believe you want to be whatever you want to be. And I know that sounds cliche. You can be what you want to be. But this is part of your foundation, your attitude, your mindset, dealing with peer pressure, dealing with anger. These girls, 12, 13 years old, angry already. Yes. And so just really trying to really impart wisdom that I know, the mistakes, the challenges. I share with them about the domestic violence that I went through. And they said, what, you seem so strong. Like, how does someone do that? I said, I haven't always been mighty. I've gone through challenges. I've gone through those dark places in my life. I don't have time to go into it now. But yes, during my whole career, I went through domestic violence during that time. But God kept me. He kept my mind. And He allowed me to turn my pain to power. So instead of going around in life complaining, this is how I turn my pain to power. I travel to prisons and speak to women. I travel overseas for U.S. Embassy. I go to reservations and help these women rise above and try to let them know that you matter, that no matter what is going on in your life, you don't have to look like what you've been through. You don't have to look like what you've been through. So I'm just thankful that God has given me this space and given me this platform to share. And I just encourage you, if you're going through challenges, whatever they may be, encourage someone else. Sometimes we get lost in ourselves and poor me. Let's encourage someone else. Let's lift someone else up. And sometimes your situation is not as bad as you think it is. And the fact that if you say, listen, no matter what I'm going through, if I got a heartbeat, I'm breathing, I'm good. I got a chance. So let's embrace every day. Be thankful. Show some gratitude, because gratitude is the key that unlocks the wholeness of life. Show some gratitude. Be thankful. And let's continue to encourage each other and continue to help make these young kids' dreams come true. And I'm thankful that God has chosen me, because to whom much is given, much is required. So thank you and God bless you. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Henry Thomas, and I'd like to thank you guys for being here. I'd like to thank you guys for being here, staying here. I'd like to thank Ms. Whitlow, Ms. Crawford, and all the facilitators of this event for allowing me to come here today and share my story with you. For most of my life, especially entering high school, centered around two things: my academics and my athletics. If you read the brochure, I was California High School State Championship in '83 and '84, 2 consecutive years. Our high school team set the national record in the 4x400 meter relay, 3:07:40, which if it still stands in April 2020, it would have been 35 years. Quite a phenomenal task. We didn't realize how special it was at the time. Because of this, I was able to matriculate to UCLA, full scholarship. There we won 2 NCAA championships in '87 and 1988. We also set the collegiate record. We was the first collegiate team to run under 3 minutes in the relay. Also have multiple school records. I still hold some California state records too. I was the fastest, and not to gloat, just to give you some background, I was the fastest California high school student athlete in 100 meters. That's still to end today, 10:25. And in the 400 meters, 45:09. I was working towards my goal of being an Olympic champion. In '88, I missed the team. I made the team as an alternate. Subsequent to that, I had some debilitating injuries. I hurt my back. And I was still working towards my goal of earning an Olympic medal in '92. Because of these injuries and stuff that I suffered, I became discouraged, distracted, disgruntled, a little angry with some of the things that was going on with the sport, steroid use, etc. Can you hear me, Ms. Crawford? The steroid use that was happening in the sport. And as a result, I chose to go outside my circle of family and friends and my support system and fell in with the wrong crowd and ended up in prison where I served 15 years in prison. This is very negative. I was at my lowest state. I was torn. I was depressed. My initial thoughts of prison was very negative. I didn't see a future, and I didn't see no reason to look forward towards my future. I was in a bad state, if you can imagine. Here I was, as an athlete, track and field is taking me all around the world. And now I end up in prison instead of doing what I want to do, doing what people in charge told me to do. But in 1993, I kind of had like an epiphany in the penitentiary. I was there for about 3 years, and I knew if I held on to this negative thought, this negative mindset, that I just knew I wouldn't make it out the penitentiary. And this motivated me to change my thought process, to try to turn this negative situation into something positive. And it wasn't until I took steps towards the thought of good or to God, or this thought that all things work together for good for those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose, that things started to turn around for me. I had a cellie at that time. Around the same time, shortly after, something grabbed me and just told me I need to change my mentality. He suggested that I write one of our program captains, our program administrators, and that was Ms. Crawford. And so upon his advice, that's what I did. I didn't know if she would respond, but I remember sitting there in the cell that night writing her a letter, explaining to her my situation, where I was, how disenchanted I was. And I put it in the mail. About a week later, my cell door opened. She calls me to her office. And we talked, and she said she got my letter. And she took an interest in me. And she also said that she's going to help me. But if I let her down, if I cross her, if I don't do what I said I was going to do, that basically my butt was hers. And y'all see Miss Crawford today as this nice, humble, seriously, this nice, humble lady, which she is. But let me tell you, she was, and still is, very, very tough. And how she dealt with us and all inmates. I'm talking about she was really able to control and command respect seriously out of pretty much the worst of the worst. And when she dealt with them and she dealt with us, we respected her. We pulled up our pants and respected her, and we listened. And I just say that how I was moving towards this thought of good and trying to pick myself up off the floor, up off the gutter, stop having these feelings of self-doubt, where things started to happen for me. So that was in 1993. After that, I got involved in a trade, what was helpful, because at that time my custody was reduced. They reduced my custody level because of her. Because prior to that, I was pretty much locked up in the cell 24 hours a day, outside of yard time, because I had a high custody status. So I took advantage of that. And I wanted to take advantage of other programs throughout the institution, now that my custody level was dropped. In 1994, me and my wife got married. And Ms. Donna, I tell you, that's a hell of a testimony right there. But I was just saying that I was trying to change my negative thoughts to something positive. And as a result, I was able to take care of some educational programs in the institution. In '94, I got married. In 1995, our daughter was born. Our daughter has since graduated from Brigham Young University. She's 24 years old now. And we've been married 25 years. So this thought, all things work together for good for those that love the Lord. God is always calling us. And it wasn't athletics, it wasn't the records. God is always calling us to use our life to be example for and towards somebody else. Because we may be in situations where we can't help ourselves, but we can help somebody else along their way. About 3 years ago, I was in an accident. And I just bring this up just to say that, you wonder what your purpose is in life, what you should be doing. I almost died. I was on a motorcycle and got cut off on the freeway in Southern California. And I remember sliding across the freeway and being tossed and turned, but conscious at the same time. I don't know if that was an evil spirit that had me, but once I kicked hold of my legs that he had, dragged me across the freeway, and I had road rash, everything, fractured my neck in 3 places, and I woke up, and something just told me it wasn't my time. And we always wonder what our purpose is in life, and I just say that to say that this allows me the opportunity. I think this is part of my purpose, a part of my destiny, to come here and share, in hopes that it can help somebody else along that way. Now, working with this thought of good. In '95 was my first parole hearing. Of course, I got denied. In prison, understand this, I wish there was more young people in here. But, we kind of glorify, glamorize prisons through the movies, etc. Prison is a bad place. And I was in the penitentiary. Everybody had life 20 or 30 years. I remember my first time walking in the institution, out the institutional yard, once I hit the prison to penitentiary and was able to interact with other inmates. A guy walked through a group of men's exercise, and they stabbed me, and that's how serious it was. I knew a guy that stayed on the chair with me, white guy, and he hung himself. And he told his cellie that he was gonna hang himself. So when at yard time, Sally, he basically told him, "You're gonna hang yourself. You know, you want to kill yourself? Go ahead and kill yourself." He come back out the yard, and this dude hanging from his vent, dead in the cell. So this is just the overwhelming negativity that's in an institution or in a prison, and it's hard if you stay in a negative frame of mind to even cope, to even deal with a situation like that. I could have went crazy. I could have turned to drugs, or I could have stabbed somebody and remained in prison. But were it for the grace of God, I wouldn't be here today. I said if it wasn't for the grace of God, I wouldn't be here today. And really, I don't like to really get up and talk in front of people. Not that I won't, and I do when I'm given opportunity to, because I'm not a person that's seeking the limelight. Because I was asked, I thought it was important, and I think that God is pushing me to do these things is why I'm here today. Continuing on to this thought of good, all things work together for good. While in the institution, we were able to establish an African American History Committee, which is pretty much unheard of throughout these institutions in California. We're walking with this thought of good and having people initially that was there, like Miss Crawford. God will put people in your way that's going to help make a way. So we would put on programs like Juneteenth programs, Black History programs. And then subsequent to that, we were able to establish a multicultural committee where we had all of us together, Blacks, Latinos, which helped kick down a lot of violence in the institution. And the Hispanics or the Latins were able to establish them a Mexican cultural committee where they would put on a Cinco de Mayo program and stuff like that, and we would support each other's various programs. Just this thought of good, those just trying to do good. God will put people in your path to do good. If you're not cold, callous, and your heart is open enough to receive it. I don't know if these programs still exist today where I was at, but it was very, I think, productive while we were there. Because of these committees, and you guys probably never heard it, we had Harry Belafonte and Danny Glover. We had Harry Belafonte and Danny Glover come to the institution. And it was a beautiful thing because we hear a lot of negative things, but we don't hear about the positive things. And they was there supporting us and wasn't there for anything else but to give back. And that inspired us. Like I said, you take one step to God, he'll take, 20 steps towards you. And that was amazing. I think it's on part of his documentary, one of us singing a song or something like that. His documentary, I think it's, if you research it, I think you can find us in the institution, him on the chair singing. So I just want to say that, regardless of, what surrounds you, regardless of what state you find, or we find ourselves in, that, it's always, God's going to always make a right choice to be made and going to put people in your life. And that if we can change our mindset, regardless of what you've been through, if you can change your mindset, then we can change our situation. And that's the truth. What I'm telling you is real. I'm not an over-religious person like that. I don't go to church, but I know what God can do. And I know about having a personal relationship with God. And I know that God will get your attention one way or the other. And if you listen He can pull you out of any situation, of any circumstances, and return your life to you better than it was. I have a beautiful wife. We've been together over 30-some years. We've been married for 25 years. We have one beautiful daughter who's graduated from college, and she's still in Utah, in Provo, Utah, working, trying to figure out if she's going to go to graduate school. I've worked constantly and consistently since I've been home because I was committed to doing that. I'm just thankful that I wasn't a recidivist, that I wasn't one of those 75% of people being released from prison, returning with a new charge or violating parole. But that's because I was committed to doing the right thing and moving in the right direction. I'm a homeowner. We bought a home about 10 years ago. And, you know, be careful what you wish for, because I told God that once I got out, if I got out, well, I told him when I got out because I believed I would get out, that, you know, I'm a work and support my family. I'm a work and support my family. And she'll tell you that's all I do is work. And if it's work, I mean, I go to work sick. I'm not, unless it's a real important event, I'm not taking off work. I took off work 4 hours yesterday to get up here to Sacramento. I'm a supervisor. You know, I have certain responsibilities at work. And because I'm committed to doing the right thing, a lot of us had this stigmatism or this stereotype that, you know, people not gonna help you, or, you know, just because you've been to prison, that's the end, and it's not if you change your mindset. And I'm a living example of that. You know, it's hard, it's not gonna be easy. I had several jobs, but the job that I've been on for about 12 years now. And it's taken leadership, some leadership roles, just because they know that I'm gonna do the right thing. I'm committed to doing the right thing, and I'm gonna be early, because early is on time and on time is late. So that's just some of my story. I know I kind of went over here and over there with some things, but to be honest, it's just, you know, it's difficult reliving it. It's difficult, you know, sharing it, but it's therapeutic for me at the same time because I'm able to talk about it. We talked about the hanging situation the other day, and I didn't share that with her till, well, a few days ago, right? About the dude that I know was sad that lost his life, hung himself, took his life. But that's just a tip of how, you know, bad prison can be. But at the same time, it was a good thing for me because I ain't no telling what was out there in front of me that could have happened to me had I stayed in that depressed state, that angry state. It could have been a good thing, I think.
Mr. Thomas.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Who are you now?
Well, I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I'm a God-fearing man. I'm a man that's committed to doing the right thing, regardless of the situation, the circumstances, or to the extent of great odds. I'm a hard worker. I'm empathetic. Prison makes you empathetic because in a penitentiary, you see everything. I'm a person that try not to have no predisposition towards things because I didn't see basically everything. I done seen some bad things. I've seen and talked to people who do bad things. I'm a mentor. I work with gangs. I supervise young men at the church. I'm a lot of things, but a recidivist I'm not.
I'm going to stay up here with him just for a second. Because, you know, he shared a lot of beneficial information with you. And I kept in touch with this young man. He was 22 years old when I first met him. Okay, and he's 50, how? 52. He's 52 years old right now. And when he got off that bus, and I saw him that day, he got my attention then. And fortunately, another inmate who decided to befriend him told him to get in touch with me. And I sure did tell him that I don't take no mess. Okay? And he knew exactly what he needed to do. And I tell you what, I've had a lot of success stories in 30 years working 8 penitentiaries, but this man right here probably was the best and most successful story because he carried his life on. I don't take credit for that. He gave the credit to God, and that's where it came from. That's where it came from. He has a wonderful family. We stay in touch. But last thing I'm going to ask him is, what single biggest thing did you learn from that experience? And how did that make you who you are today?
One of the biggest things I learned that when you're going through something, seek consultation. Talk to people. Somebody might be able to relate. You know, we, especially as men, we come up in a society where we shouldn't cry, we shouldn't talk about our problems, the things that we're going through. So I held a lot of stuff in. So today, I seek consultation. I talk about things that I'm going through. And that's one of the biggest things I thought, because I think that's the catalyst that starts a downward spin when we don't share, when we don't just be honest. And it may be uncomfortable. I mean, it is uncomfortable, but I think the benefits that we receive pale in comparison to the discomfort that we feel. Because everybody going through something, regardless of what it is. Somebody, you see somebody and say, oh, everything is fine. Come on, knock it off. So I think, Ms. Crawford, that's one of the things, or the biggest things I learned, to open up and talk about issues that I may be having. And I just want to say, 30 years, it's unusual. A lot of people utter stuff with their mouths that's not in their heart. When she tell you something that's the truth, is real, you can count on it. And that helped change me, because had it not been for her and God putting her in my life, I could still be in the penitentiary. Either just still there doing time. I could have been stabbed somebody, just a lot of things. And I went through, because of her guidance and changing my mind, and God putting people like Ms. Crawford in my life, and other people, disciplinary free. I mean, that's unbelievable.
That's right.
That's unbelievable.
Disciplinary free.
Well, good afternoon, good people. I'm happy to have this opportunity to stand before you and use a little bit of wisdom that God has blessed me with. I've been asked by Tommy to kind of summarize dreams deferred. And if any of you know me, I am an engaging person. It's always good to get information, but all of us that have been up here today, we learn a lot from you all. So all the speakers today have touched on powerful principles, and it speaks to the heart about the kind of person you are. Because I'd like to believe that every one of us have a gift, and hopefully you are operating in your gift. And if you're not, shame on you. Shame on you. I realize that we only know what we know, but when you try to act like you know what you don't know, you're wrong. You're wrong. So the excuses, the blame, the I shoulda, woulda, coulda, if only, all of those things don't matter when it comes to your trying to advance your position in life. And that's so critical, because I look around this room, everyone in here is just about over age 21, but you are a real life living example for the next generation. And how can you speak in their life and ask them to do what you're not willing to do? Okay? And it really starts up with, if you are a parent of a school-age child, It starts up with this basic principle for me. Show up. Just show up. Like sacrifice. And do you know, as adults, we still have to sacrifice. But I want you to get the connection. Sacrifice does not mean cripple. If you have a grown child still living in your house, how are you helping that person transition out? Or are you crippling their advancement by doing everything that he or she should be doing? And this is real, this is serious. We have more resources, more opportunities, but some of us aren't doing any better. And I don't get that. Each successive generation should be better than the previous generation. I know my life was better than my parents'. My kids' life is better than mine, and I suspect my grandchildren's life will be better than their parents. And we pour into that. And the biggest thing that we can do pouring into that is to really reiterate to our families what our values are. See, all these speakers today, they live by principles. They had values. It was just something in them. They just knew that they could be better than their situation. That their situation does not determine their circumstance. It's just something to do. Like when you broke, you broke. You broke. And broke ain't cute. So what you gonna do about it? You're gonna get up off your holy assets and get it moving. And do what you have to do. You're gonna touch upon the gift that God has given you. Okay, because I heard a long time ago that if you use your gift and you use it in your career, work don't seem like work. It's just something you do. And I say that becomes your ministry. And that's what you use as a stepping stone. The loss of humanity. You know, my sister asked about the homeless situation. In a country other than the fact that people want to be out there, and I get it, okay? Some folks don't want to be helped. And I'm okay with that, because if you don't want to be helped, I don't want to help you. I'm good with that. You can't help everybody. It's like if you're drowning and your hand is up, help, help, help. I can't even swim. I'm going to try to help you. But if you're just sinking down and I don't see your hand go up, I'll go, okay, God bless you. Go on to glory. You know, so I think we need to really utilize the resources and the personal advantages that we have. There's a lot of retired people in this room. How are you pouring back into the younger generation? What are you doing? You know, I complimented Mr. Thomas for his humility, for his calmness, because I was talking to Deborah. I said, you know, most brothers I meet out of prison are hard and angry, and this gentleman here realizes that what happened to him had to happen in order for him to step into his greatness, into the king that he is now, and what he's doing for his family. And some of us are so bitter that we can't get better. Okay, you so bitter. You dress up in your little bitter bra and your bitter panties and your bitter dress, and you go out and people say, how you doing? Oh, yo, you know it. Don't nobody got time for that. Nobody want to hear it. Okay, it's kind of like, I kind of refrain now from hearing that canned response. How are you doing? Fine. And then you check their spirit and they don't seem like they're fine. We don't even tell the truth about how we feeling. So how can somebody help you when you ain't willing to help yourself? Okay? So acknowledging that we are also emotional, but we're also mind. And the other thing that I heard all the speakers say, they talked about their mind, the mindset. The mindset. Do you know your brain can play tricks on you? Okay? You gotta train your brain. And you gotta be kind to your mind, okay? You gotta fill it with stuff that's good, that's gonna get you up and motivated. Okay, the brother here talked about being consistent and persistent. And so I told Deborah, I said, oh, I'm thinking of CPS right now. And you know that's Child Protective Services. But my CPS was part of his consistent, persistence, and the S, sacrifice. If you don't have what you want, shame on you. You can't blame nobody. You get in the game. What did it say? You got to be in it to win it? Okay, you ain't going to win the lotto if you don't play it. Okay, then don't hate on your neighbor who won or your girl. So those things of setting yourself apart from people in order to get what you need to may only be temporary to get what you want. So I really want to spend the few minutes I still have left talking about a mindset. There's two kinds of mindsets, a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Now the fixed mindset, I want you to think about, here's your brain with a padlock on it. It's fixed. Everything you see is black and white. You meet somebody and the first thing you think about is what are they up to? And this is in relationships. You meet somebody and if you're just getting out of a bad relationship, take some time to fall in love with yourself all over again before you take that baggage to the next person, okay? Just take some time to be okay with being alone. Because being alone does not mean you have to be lonely, okay? It's just chill time to honor yourself. So that fixed mindset, people will say, I'm not good at this. That's a fixed mindset. They've already made up their mind. And if you have children, you need to stop that now if your kids are saying, I can't do this. You know, because thank God we had parents, our father used to say, the only one that can stop you, have you look in the mirror. Look, that's the person that's going to stop you. Ain't nobody else got nothing to do with that. And when I'd say stuff like, well, the teacher don't like me. He said, good, they ain't supposed to like you. They supposed to teach you. Now get an A in their class. And it'd be like, what? And I was not the brightest crayon in the box. But I worked hard because my family, they instilled that in us. Our mom had an 8th grade education, but she showed up for everything. She wouldn't talk because then she felt undereducated and wouldn't want to interact with, and I know there's a lot of parents that don't like coming to the school because teachers are educated. Well, they real people too. They wake up with morning breath and go pee just like you, okay? So you just gotta meet them where they are. So that's that fixed mindset. I'm not good at this. Where a growth mindset will sit back and go, what am I missing? What am I missing? Okay? A fixed mindset will say, I give up. I'm done. Where a growth mindset, I need a different strategy. Okay? I need a different strategy. A fixed mindset, that's good enough. A growth mindset, this ain't my best work. Okay? I remember an EOP student coming to me from Fairfield, and his mother was a teacher. And he taught me this little rhyme, and the reason it is in my spirit right now is because I think as adults we can benefit from it, but if you have children and grandchildren, it also could be a new little nursery rhyme. And it goes like this: good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good gets better and your better gets best. Good, better, best. Never let it rest till your good gets better and your better gets best. So I always have to ask myself when I finish something, was that my best job? And as speakers, you know, we always get in the car and be beating ourselves up about what we should have said and how come, and she made a point that I forgot to make, and that ain't nothing but the devil riding shotgun trying to steal your joy. Because I believe you get everybody that's here today was ordained to be here, and all the messages were exactly what we needed in this season and time. And we have to believe that. Going back to the fixed mindset. I can't make this any better. Where the growth mindset is, I can improve. And that improvement goes back to best and better. Fixed mindset, this is too hard. A growth mindset, this may take me a little bit more time, but I got this. And see, these are affirmations we need to give to our children. I'm reminded of an African proverb that says, a child only educated at school is an uneducated child. Okay? We are the primary teachers, the community. It takes a village. Well, guess what? We be the village. We're the village. And it's so important that our children see us showing up and standing in the gap for those parents who can't, won't, or don't show up. I was recently in a community meeting at Burbank, and there were a lot of single moms with sons, athletes at the school, and they were just talking about they can't come out. And I was just like sitting there trying to be quiet. You know, when your heart starts beating really fast, sometimes the Spirit says, shut up, just shut up. So I just shut up, because he had appointed another single parent to get up and say, you know, I'm a single parent too, and I'm really tired of all the single parents saying they don't have time. Okay, you wouldn't have time if you had a husband. You'd be using that as an excuse. I got to run home and cook dinner for my husband. You know, so she was real with that. And a lot of them, you could see their faces drop because they were convicted. Because I'm like this. I can be talked about, but if I know that ain't me, it's like Teflon. Whoop, must be somebody else. But when you get caught up in trying to entertain what somebody thinks about you, there must be some truth to what they think about you. If you got to come back with something, because ain't nobody got time for that. You know who you are. You know what your gifts are. You know what your journey is and your purpose is. So when someone can misread you, shame on them. And frankly, your opinion of me is your business. It ain't mine. It's your business. It is not my business. So go ahead and have a conversation about me. I mean, I must be all that. That's how I look at it. And I won't ever know that. But that's how I was trained. That's how I was brought up. That's how our parents taught us. We're good enough. We're good enough. We're good enough. Our babies are good enough. Our babies are smarter than they're pretending to be. Our babies are lazy. Our babies learn lazy from us. They see us not doing what we ask them to do. Go clean up a room. Yours look like a pigsty. Wash your dishes. You put yours in the sink. So we can't ask children to do what we're not willing to do. You can't do that. It's an opportunity to teach them so that they become economically self-sufficient. They move out of your house into their own house. You go visit them, eat up all their groceries, spend the night, don't have to pay a hotel because they got a guest room. And that's what it's about, okay? 2 things I desire for all children is a paycheck and a passport. Because as you travel, you learn a lot about the similarities we have with different cultures. And that's the beauty of going to college and having the opportunity to fulfill your dreams and your career. That's what we should want for every child here. And this generation, it's estimated they'll have 6 to 7 careers in their lifetime. You can have mistakes, but look at those mistakes as an opportunity to push your life forward. Because every great person didn't give up. Every great person failed, but they got back up. They took 2 steps forward. Like Mr. Thomas said, he'd get a job and he'd get laid off. But did he say it was a blessing? Because it was a stepping stone to the next level. And that's how we have to look at life. Pretty much like a lot of us grew up with that glass. Is your glass half empty or is your glass half full? Okay? The half empty glass, I refer to those constituents as negaholics. How are you today? Oh, well, I don't know. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. The negaholic says, homeboy was pushed. He didn't fall, he was pushed. Okay, so we will skew it to mean anything. And the thing about somebody that with negative energy, you want to get out of their company fairly quickly, because that stuff will stick to you. So it's important that we understand and realize that we have to see ourselves better than what we are. And that's what I say as a black community. People, we are so much better than where we are right now. We are so much better than where we are right now. And it's because, and I'm trying to be kind to my mind, and I want to train your brain. We got a lot of faulty thinking, and it can lead to anger and depression, and that can lead to mental health issues. Mental health is just as important as your physical well-being, okay? It's just as important, because if mentally you're not healthy, it can affect your physical. Your body will start to react to what you're thinking about. So that's so important too. Okay, the last one, fixed mindset. I'll never be that smart. Where the growth mindset, I will learn and I will do this. So in closing, I just want to encourage you all to think in terms of what your contribution is to the next generation. This is a Children of Promise conference, and we have to do so much more to help our children. The school system is broken. It's broken. And that's why we need parents to show up, not showing up being hostile, but being an advocate for all children, making sure every child on campus connects to 2 or 3 people, because you're not always around. So children need a responsible adult that they can connect to throughout the day, a safe place for them to be themselves. But we also need to train our children to be self-advocates, to be able to question certain things, but in a respectful way. And I know that's a lot, but in closing, I just want to say, when it comes to your life, the critical thing is whether you take things for granted or you take them for gratitude.
Okay. The night I had my retirement ceremony was the night I committed to a room full of over 200 people that I would, for the rest of my life, counsel and mentor youth and try to keep kids out of jail and prison. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. So you know what, I tell you what, Jessica Soares, Nafisa Young, yes. Henry Thomas, yes. Ruthie Bolton, who is hiding over there, I can't see. We have 4 incredible panelists. This has been very inspiring, you know, and I tell you what, I have to acknowledge where'd the little man go that was taking all the pictures? Oh, did he leave? Okay, well, he told me, I asked him, I said, are you planning on being a photographer when you get older? He said, yes. Now, he should not ever be discouraged. I don't care how old he is. He might, what is he, 7? Yeah. See, you cannot discourage a child like that. Okay? We continue to hold each other up in prayer. You know, there's things going on that's strange. Vote, vote, vote. Census, don't forget that. All the information that you have received today, please file that in your head and in your heart. Okay? Because it is incredibly important. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce the president of the National Council of Negro Women, Donna Wood.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. On behalf of the Sacramento Valley section, I'd like to say thank you so very much for attending today. There's an old saying that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I think the messages that we had today sent that message very clear, that we will always need others, we will always need one another, that love and support, our faith and values are the way that we get to fulfill our dreams. So I want to say thank you again on behalf of the council to our sponsors, to our exhibitors, to our friends, our community partners for making this day such a success. Have you had a good time spending it with us? Yeah. Thank you so very much. And now, because this is an event that we've had now for 19 years, and we've had a chairperson for a number of those years. And I'd like to bring her forward to thank her for her hard work and her commitment and the committee that she leads to host this event today, and that is the immediate past president, Ms. Tommy Whitlow. Tommy, on behalf of the council, your community partners, your sponsors, and your friends, thank you for your devoted and sincere commitment to this community and for hosting this 19th annual Children of Promise Conference. We are truly indebted to you. Thank you.
I have always said, this conference is really not about me. They just allow me to be up front. I must say I do a lot of work, but I couldn't do it without the support. So I'm going to ask all of the committee members to please come forward. Some are busy, but Deborah Bonner was one of the first people when we did it the first year. Deborah Bonner, come on up. Mary Collins, Marlene Anderson, Odette Crawford, Felicia Bassett is not here, but this year I really got a good experience in having Odette and Felicia on the committee. They showed me what it's like to really work as a committee and to have the assistance that you need. Cheryl Hughes, Marie Napper, get up here, Napper. I want to thank these ladies for their support. And again, I said that, and I want to thank my sister for coming. My sister lives in Pittsburgh, California, and she didn't even tell me. She hear me ranting and raving about people are not signing up. I need you to register. I need you to register. And she shows up. I told her I like good surprises. Thank you. But she didn't let me know. Anyway, thank you, ladies. Thank you for your support. Odette, please extend my thanks to Felicia.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, and Marlene Anderson and Cheryl Hughes are in the kitchen. People are always working. I'm out here, float showing, and they're still doing work. So thank you. We want to give them a certificate of appreciation for being willing. He came all the way from Southern California, for being willing to come and talk about how we don't defer our dreams. My minister says when you go through hell, you don't camp out down there. Come on up, Shirley. Shirley Shelton.
Good afternoon, everybody. Before I present these plaques to all of the speakers, I would just like to say this has been a blessed day for me, and I pray that it has to you. But on behalf of the National Council of Negro Women, Inc., as our chairperson has said, we can't pay our speakers, but at least we can say thank you. And being from the South too, it is important that we always take a moment to recognize when good has been done on our behalf. So to all of the speakers, we absolutely appreciate you sharing your knowledge. You have shared your expertise, and I have benefited from it. So, our first speaker, Jessica Soares. All of the plaques read the same, so I'm going to read one, but they all read the same. So, Jessica, as well as Miss Young, Mr. Thomas, come on up. Ms. Ruthie Bolton, come on over. Ms. Clotilde, would you come, please? And lastly, our illustrious moderator, Ms. Odette Crawford. She was awesome. All of our speakers were awesome, but none like this moderator. Okay. The plaque reads as follows. The National Council of Negro Women, Inc., Sacramento Valley Section, 19th Annual Children of Promise Conference, Families Redeeming Their Dreams, Saturday, October 26, 2019. Presented the theme to the Children of Promise Conference. Thank you for giving unselfishly of your time to the 19th Annual Children of Promise Conference. And on the reverse side it says, thank you for being a difference maker wherever you go. Will you continue to shine your light bright for others to see and follow? May those who are ready to make changes to their lives see your light and become difference makers too. Thank you.
Shirley?
Coming.
All right. Thank you.